I just want to briefly touch on a topic where Dibble got a little bit of egg on their face recently due to a mislabeling of the invert of a pipe. So this pipe right here, I don't know if it's not extremely obvious when you just glance at it, but it is a static label that has the incorrect invert elevation. So we're looking at an invert of 1457.48 according to the text, but 1457.48 would actually be up in this range. So that label right there is not dynamically updating according to where it is in the profile view. And what this caused, well, this didn't cause it, but something that this led to was in construction, there was an error that they built the water line at a different elevation than that which was specified on the plans, and it actually ended up going straight through the future storm drain that we had lined out. And after this had happened, we needed to provide an explanation as to why the ellipse of this pipe right here was drawn at a different location than what the invert said. And there's a different plan set that actually controls this storm drain. We won't get into that, but basically, let's just go through the issue a little bit here. So if we go to the drawing, there's not really much of a difference that you can see between this label and this label, but one has the correct elevation and one has the incorrect elevation. So if we go to the reference drawing here, we can see that this is a dynamic label. So the dynamic labels will have some different grip features and some different properties. So I'll actually just bring the properties over here, but it's a station elevation label. That is a Civil 3D label that will update dynamically if I were to drag to anywhere. So that elevation as I drag is going to change. This label here is just a plain keynote. There's another problem with it, that it's not at 60 degrees. So if I drew a 60-degree line there, that's not placed at 60 degrees. But the other problem with it is that if you move a keynote, that 1457.48 is just going to stay 1457.48, and it's never going to update. So a simple way to avoid this is if you go to the Annotate tab and add Profile View Labels. You can select whatever style you need to, but in this case we're just going to use an invert new style. Add it, click on your profile view, and let's just add a label right there. And that elevation, 1455.33, would have been at the time correct. And I say at the time because the other design that I mentioned has actually changed since then. But that brings me to another point about how this could have been avoided. And that is that this job has pipe networks. And it has pipe networks for the new water, which is the topic of this construction project, this design project, and also has pipe networks for the storm drain. If we create a reference to that storm drain within our plan view, let me minimize some of these things so you can see what's going on behind, and that'll bring in the pipes for the storm drain. Before this, we had no reference to the Civil 3D pipe network. All that they were using to label this was a block reference that was then projected into the profile view. So the cool thing about that is that it's easily editable, it doesn't really slow down drawings. I mean, there are some benefits to this method. It's pretty easy to change things around as far as your pipe size. So I'm gonna, like, if I wanted this to be a 24-inch pipe like it actually morphed into, I could just change this to 24. I can change the elevation to whatever I want here, and it'll update dynamically over there on the profile view that we're looking at. But the problem with that is that it is not actually linked to anything. So especially when you're working in a job that references or that has references to a completely different job, then there are things that are going to be missed if you use a static label like this that has to be manually updated. So this pipe network, if I just draw this part in the profile view by right-clicking and then saying draw parts in profile view, I can click on that profile view and it's going to throw that pipe into this profile view. So the pipe name is, let me look at the properties window here. I'll drag this over here for you. This pipe 16 is that pipe that is just now crossing this profile view. If I go into the profile view properties and pipe networks, I'm going to show only crossing pipes by selecting this little option right there. Pipe 16, I can override this to have a cross-section style. Oops. And I'll just say apply so you can see the change happen over here. Apply that, and now we have a pipe that is perfectly accurate to where it actually is. So we can see it's a little bit off horizontally, we can see it's off vertically, but this pipe now is exactly where it needs to be, and that will update dynamically even when the pipe network itself changes. So we can drag our dynamic label over to the pipe network part here, and we can be pretty confident that that is going to be accurate and that it will be much easier in the long run to update than any dynamic labels or dynamic part or static labels or static parts. So basic motto, use dynamic labeling. And also, if you have the ability, use dynamic networks.